You know what
Backpacking America
is, right?
It's fucking awesome.
It's Backpacking America, an analytical podcast. You already know Wise Guys Sammy's has the best sandwich in downtown Oneonta, but now they've also been voted Reader's Choice for best burger in all of Oneonta. Wise Guys Sammy's is downtown's destination for great sandwiches, burgers, homemade soups, pizza, and more. See what everyone is talking about and try one of their award-winning burgers or one of their famous specialty sandwiches, all on homemade bread. Don't forget the best selection of craft beer in town at the Dark Side at Wise Guys. Make sure to like Wise Guys on Facebook for daily specials and more. Eat in or take out, and make sure to call 607-267-4347 or stop in at 261 Main Street today. Wise Guys Sammy's, Oneonta's best burger and downtown's best sandwich. All right. Wow, it is so nice to be back. Okay, so quick update. I've been gone for basically almost 2 weeks because I could not speak at all. I think I had laryngitis. I'm still a little sick. We're going to try this out. This is probably going to be a short one just because I don't want to kill my voice. But I actually could not speak. I had some weird bacterial infection, and I went to urgent care about, I don't know, like 6 days ago. And they gave me a steroid and antibiotics, and they said, okay, kid, let's hope this works. It was really scary. So I couldn't speak, and that's why I've basically been gone for God knows how long. It says on Twitch the last time I streamed was 9 days ago, so I'm going to assume 9 days was the last time I streamed. A lot's happened. So I think I touched on it in the last episode, but I moved back to Long Island, and sorry, you're just going to have to deal with that, y'all. That hopefully will clear out when I'm done with the antibiotics. But, yeah, so I got back here, done with college, done with school, decided to come back to my parents' house for a bit. Really didn't have a choice. It was either that or Section 8 housing. And I don't hate my parents, so I'm glad to be home. What else did I do? I applied to some jobs, got some jobs. Going to be starting them very soon, so you'll be seeing some cool, hopefully collaborative work with where I'm working. I don't want to say anything yet, because nothing's really official yet, but it'll be pretty badass. So that's really what I've been doing. I've been chasing that bag, trying to get my health up. I've been going to the gym, which is pretty fire. And, basically it's post-pandemic. 90% of America has at least some form of COVID vaccine. 40% have a full dose of vaccine, and 50% have one vaccine. So 90% of the country has some form of the vaccine in their system. And for those of you that don't know, one dose of COVID vaccine is 80% effective. So that's pretty badass. So basically, COVID's over in America. Now, for our topic today, we're going to be talking about why are American socialists so fucking weird. The first thing being, like, and for those of you that don't know me, I've been involved in the socialist movement for a very long time, and I've been through some different organizations. I've started my own organization, the Anti-Capitalist League. I've done it all. And I can say that one of my biggest gripes with the American left is like this fetishization of Soviet dress, and I'm guilty of it too. I do like militaristic clothing. I think it's fire. But like, you got to do it right. You can't just like, there's some people like wearing like full on like Soviet military uniforms to protest. Very few people, but it's fucking weird, and it shouldn't exist, and you should slap yourself in the face if you do that. My major gripe though is why is Twitch going on? Okay, is the Che Guevara t-shirt. So we're gonna go to my shopping section here, And can we go to scene? Maybe that's it. Nope. Chatting. Nope. Nope. Is this it? Can we go back? Cancel? Come on. I'm just trying to... Here we go. Okay, Che Guevara t-shirts. So this is for y'all in the Twitch chat. Boom. Okay, yeah. So Che Guevara t-shirts. Now, this is obviously just like one small part. Like, there's obviously like Marx t-shirts, and there's like Bernie t-shirts, and I think just putting like your political opinion on a t-shirt is very stupid. It's tacky, and it's just a way to make a quick buck. Like the anarchy t-shirts, or like Marxist t-shirts, or like, honestly, like, do you? Like, who am I to criticize with my one Twitch viewer right now? But, like, it's just weird and tacky. And, like, I think Che Guevara, or even, like, I see Malcolm X t-shirts, or I see, like, what the hell do I see? Like, Black Lives Matter t-shirts. And we touched on, like, you know, not appropriation. What did I call it? Corporate activism. And how they like try to market and co-opt things for profit, and they use that with social movements. So we touched about that a little bit, but I guess we'll go back into it. It's just weird because it's like, why would you want to, even for conservatives too, like why would you want to put your political opinion on a t-shirt, like, and incorporate that as part of your style? Like, you know, it's one thing, it's a fire fit, like I guess I get it, but like I don't know, I think Malcolm X or like Che Guevara or any revolutionary like Angela Davis would kind of be pretty pissed off about having their face on a t-shirt because, like, someone is making money off it. And then some people say, well, like, oh, well, I got it from, you know, this union-made shop, and I got it from, oh, this is a black artist that made it, or I got it from, you know, a comrade that made this. And it's like, it doesn't really matter because they're making money off the movement. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like an organization is putting their, you know, name or a symbol or using the likeness of a person for their organization as a recruitment tactic or like as a uniform. It's like they're selling you a shirt to make money. Like that's not valid. And then some people say, like, oh, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, or, oh, artists got to eat too. And it's like, yeah, artists got to eat too, and there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Like, I do understand that, but, like, you know, it's tacky to buy a shirt like that. It's just tacky. It's doing a disservice to the people that you're claiming to idolize and represent, mostly because they'd be against being commodified to look acceptable and to serve an ulterior motive, which is capital, which is profit. And like, yeah, artists got to eat too. I get that. But like, there's so many things you could do besides putting someone's face on a shirt that probably would be pissed off about having their face on a shirt. It's just tacky. Another thing that really irritates me about the American left is like this I gotta go on Twitter. It's really just Twitter and social media in general. There's like this fetishization of being on Twitter. And yeah, I'm on Twitter, sure, but it's mostly just to like honestly keep abreast of what's going on, like, with government accounts. But sometimes I will post memes. And, you know, one of the more annoying parts about Twitter, I don't want you guys to see my feed, by the way, just for like privacy reasons. So we're just gonna go to the chatting section. Okay, there. One of the more annoying parts about this part of the left is that, like, there's such a focus on being on the internet and having a social media presence. And I actually interviewed an organization a while back. You may remember them. It's WHOA, which is the GSO WO or something, like the something Houseless Association. And one of their guys was on here, and he's no longer with this organization. But I kind of had to criticize him a little bit. And he said something like, I have to be, you know, he said something about, like, Twitter's so stupid because in order to get big on Twitter, you have to be mean and kind of confrontational. And, like, I'm not a mean or confrontational person in real life, but my Twitter persona is, and how else am I supposed to market communism to the masses? There's so much wrong with that statement, and I didn't really push back on it then, and I really should have. And I think about this at least once a week. So basically, he goes, he says to me, like, he says that, right? And the issue with that is, first off, this is a social and political movement. You don't market anything. You market a hoodie, or, you know, a podcast, or a guitar or something. You know, you don't market a political movement. You take the issues that the masses have, you try to fix them, and you do your best to represent the people. And that's all you do. You can put your name out there. You know, you could say, like, yeah, we're the Communist Party, and this is what we're doing for your community to solve this issue that's going on in this community. And that's the best you could do. You can't, you know, like and retweet your way to a revolution. It's literally impossible. You know, that's what's kind of stupid about Twitter. You know, you're not like the social, you know, they're not social democrats. They're not like the Bernie bros or whatever. Like, it's not like you're building a cult following around a politician that's going to go to office and try to do things for you. Like, that's what you market. You would market that. But you don't market, like, a political theory. That's weird. And, you know, going on Twitter's, you know, Twitter accounts like his and others, it's like, it's mean and it doesn't serve a purpose and it cuts off engagement. And, you know, there's so many problems with it. Like, there's people I see, like, on, like, Facebook or Twitter, and they're literally outing themselves. Like, the internet's monitored. Y'all do know the internet is owned by the United States Navy, right? Like, you're literally telling the internet that you're a communist. And, like, okay, fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. Because, like, you can't lose your job for that. It's just going to be like, you're an idiot, you know, at your workplace. Or like, oh, I'm a democratic socialist. Like, okay, you're an idiot at your workplace, or, you know, your friends are going to be like, okay, like, whatever. But in the government, but here's the thing, like, there's people, like, giving out information about how to avoid arrest, or how to de-arrest someone, or how to dox someone, or how to make Molotov cocktails. And it's just like, you're literally building incriminating evidence against yourself, putting it on a government-monitored platform, and then saying, yeah, I'm a revolutionary, and I'm agitating for revolution, and I am going to take up arms against the state on the internet. You're saying that. And this is, like, not exclusive to American socialists and the Western left. This is, like, a big issue for, like, the right wing, too. There's people that shoot their mouths off saying, we gotta water the tree of liberty with tyrants' blood. And it's like, bro, you're literally, if you do something sus ever in your life, that is going to be used. The first thing courts do when they're building a case against you is, like, go through your entire social media. That's what they do. They go through all of that. All your social media. All of it. And they monitor everything. Like, there's so much stupid shit. And it's like, you know, how are you gonna, I don't know, how are you gonna just, like, say you're the vanguard, or, like, you're, like, the leader of the people, or, like, you're educated, when you're literally, like, you have the brain power of a cum dumpster. Like, they'll say stuff like, oh, remember operational security, everyone. And it's like, why would you say operational security when on Twitter? The internet is not the place to have these conversations. And, like, here's another stupid thing that makes no sense, right? A lot of American leftists think they're, like, revolutionaries, or that they're, like, going to lead the equivalent of, like, the March on Washington in the 60s. And they don't realize that, like, you need years of, like, community work to actually build a solid coalition and get a march across the country to Washington. Like, something at that level, you know? You're not going to organize that on Twitter or Facebook. And, you know, there's some people that'll say, oh, Twitter and Facebook and all this is important in political organizing. And it's like, to a degree. Like, if you want to promote an event, sure. Like a protest, sure. Like a rally, sure. But I'm going to be real with you. That's about the extent. To make memes, sure. Making propaganda is important. But you are not going to build numbers by memeing and retweeting your way to the top. You could raise awareness, but that's about it. And another thing that's annoying about it is people think like, oh, if I post this on my story, I have friends, and I'm guilty of this too, but it's mostly just because this is a habit of mine. So back before, when I was in high school and before all the uprisings last summer, I would always, and I still do, post stuff on my story. Mostly just to the goal of educating people, because back then no one really talked about anything. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of shouting into the wind here, but like people actually liked it because I posted interesting stuff. And the problem is not posting things on your story to just like tell people about things, like what's going on in Palestine and Israel. People post that stuff because it's important to know what's going on. What's annoying are posts like how to be a good ally, or posts like those, like that type of post, like the frilly post where it's like all these social and woke issues, and it's just most likely made by someone very privileged that is claiming to have knowledge on a topic and then doesn't really have knowledge on a topic at all. That type of stuff. I've seen so many posts like that. And the reality is most of those posts are shared by the people that it's criticizing. So, like, I see a lot of white liberal women sharing these posts, and most of... And the post is usually directed at them, but they're posting it anyway to be woke and say, I'm not like those white women. It's very annoying. Then there's some posts where it's just not reflecting the reality of the situation at all. Like, a lot of these posts also look at black people and the black community as a monolith. Like, all black people feel oppressed, or all this and that. And that's not really true. Not all black people feel oppressed. Like, there is the oppression. Like, most black people that I talk to, they're like, yeah, there is an oppressive structure working against our community. That's true. But to say they all feel oppressed is another thing in and of itself. And then there's some where it's just kind of like I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was saying, I find it offensive that people assume that I feel oppressed. I don't feel oppressed. I know there is an oppressive system, but I don't feel oppressed. I don't feel like an oppressed being. That feels racist to me. And, a lot of these posts, a lot of these Instagram posts and social media posts, you can only type and put so much into a slide. So a lot of meaning and a lot of nuance is missed. So I will give them that benefit of the doubt. But there's this tendency on the American left to look at the black community as a monolith. And I hate to break it to them, but they're discussing the same issues that have already been thought out and written down from the 1920s to the 1960s. We're talking about the same shit people were talking about then. There are works written about them. Like good works. Black Bolshevik by Harry Haywood, one of the leading members of the Communist Party, a black man, wrote about national self-determination for black people. The right for black people in the Black Belt, and for northern blacks, if they feel so inclined, to form their own nation. Like, not seceding and not creating an ethno-state, but just their own administrative area to make sure that the development of the community is protected. That was written about, using Lenin, using Stalin, to justify that. The books are there, but people insist on reading these radical liberal works, these books about... they're obsessed with gender and race to the point where they don't look at the older works. They'll look at only things that are contemporary. And they'll look at things like Settlers, like by Sakai, who, by the way, was paid on the CIA payroll. So, like, you're reading CIA crap. Read Hammer and Hoe instead. Like, that's actually a really good book. It's a really good book. Read Wretched of the Earth. That's a good book on decolonization. These are Marxist works. These are works, backed by a scientific analysis. Just reading a book because the person is black or queer doesn't necessarily mean that the book is correct. It doesn't mean that that is the inevitable truth. You have to question what you're reading. Like, obviously, like, when I read Marx, it's like, okay, like, I'm a Marxist. Like, I like Marx. I like the science. But there's some things Marx writes that I don't agree with necessarily. There's some things Lenin writes that I don't agree with necessarily. There's some things even Stalin writes I don't even like. And then, it's how are these things applied by the people that have written them is another thing, too. Like, what is the person that's applying them like? Like, how is it working out for them? These are things that people frequently don't do when they read books and, when they make analyses. A lot of people have the habit, if they even do pick up a book and read, of just regurgitating what they've read without doing any critical thinking. And what I find is that a lot of people that do read, especially on the left, they don't read Marx. They don't read Lenin. They don't read, like, the foundation of Marxism or Leninism. They read, things that interest them. And there's nothing wrong with reading about, especially the more liberal tendencies, talking about gender and race and sexuality. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's really, like my issue is people call themselves Marxist and then they spew non-Marxist points about race, sex, and gender, and it just makes no sense. Like, the debate about race, sex, and gender in the Marxist community was already had in the early to mid 20th century. You simply just have to read those works to learn about it. Like, everyone's really stuck on decolonization right now, right? Decolonization was talked about in the 1930s at the 6th Comintern Congress. The Communist Internationale talked about this in depth at the Sixth Party Congress. That was in 1927 or 29. I can't really remember the exact year, but it was between those periods. It was discussed in depth. There was a 700-page book dedicated to the topic. Again, Black Bolshevik. You should read it. It's a good book. It gives you insight about that. You could read the manuscripts from the 6th Comintern Congress. You could read Marxism and the National Question and apply what Stalin is talking about to the question of the American black community. It's actually pretty, it's accessible. It's there. Another thing that pisses me off is that reading is ableist. It's not ableist. It's literally not ableist. Okay, if you're blind, you can read it. There's Braille. If there's not Braille, you can go listen to a podcast. You could listen to an audiobook. You can watch someone give a review of the book, like a quick 30-minute video about the book and give you a summary about the gist of the book. There's, for all this shit on the internet, leftist oriented, there are subreddits and, people on Twitter that actually will talk to you about the book. You could also, I don't know, maybe join a communist party and, talk to the people there. Or maybe if you're, a social democrat and you're trying to learn more about what your opinions are, or you're a liberal or a conservative or whatever, maybe actually read what the people that you idolize are talking about. There's this big tendency, like, on the American left, in general, beyond the communist movement, to say that, like, reading is ableist, to kind of just back out of reading. It's one thing if you can't read, but, like, just getting knowledge is not ableist. Like, this is all free works. You could download PDFs if you don't have the money. Oh, well, I like to read the physical book. Okay, well, go to your local library. Or, if you have really good friends, maybe, and they're interested in the same topic as you, maybe ask to borrow their books. Or, I don't know, this might sound kind of crazy, but you do know that Amazon, now, I'm not plugging Amazon here, and I'm not saying that you should order your leftist books from Amazon, or really anything from Amazon, but if you're really in a pinch and you really want that book, you can go on Amazon. I have a huge bookshelf of books, and I've gotten a lot of them from Amazon, and they're pretty cheap. They're like $7. Get paperback. You want to read that bad and be educated that bad, educate yourself. Stop making excuses. A lot of this, and I know some people are like, they like to blame capitalism for all their problems, or they like to blame, some social thing for all their problems. And it's like, yes, like these are endemic issues that do prevent access to a lot of things. But how much of it are you using as an excuse to prevent yourself and handicap yourself? Like, there has to be some form of accountability of the self. Like, you have to be limiting yourself. Like, perfect example. I want to learn Italian. I really want to learn my own language. And I'm like, okay, I could buy a workbook. I know people that speak it. I could work on speaking to them in Italian. Do I do that? No, I don't. And I could say, oh, it's Americanization that suppressed my people for so long, and that's why we don't, have access to our language, because we were afraid to speak it out of discrimination. And that plays a big part in it. Yes, that's why I don't speak my language right now. That's why me and my family don't know how to speak it. That's true. That is something that needs to be taken into account. But I have the ability and the means to learn it, and I choose not to. I took it in school. I was semi-fluent, and I never kept it up. Now, why didn't I keep it up? I had no one to speak with. Okay, so I should have found someone to speak with. I should have, found a way to communicate with people. Or maybe even if I couldn't communicate, I should have at least kept the ability to read and write it. I could have went onto an Italian Facebook group. I could have just read the newspaper in Italian. I could have read books in Italian. Being able to speak it, that was out of my control because no one I knew how to speak it. But, the point is that, like, yes, like, there are some limiting factors as to why you can't do what you want to do. Sure, absolutely. I'm not denying that at all. But there's also a level of self-accountability. So, like, the things you have control over, like, take control of them. So say you can't read. Like, it's really hard for you to read, or you don't have the time. Listen to, like, one of those 30-minute YouTube videos in the background while you're taking a shower in the morning or something. Like, if you really want to know about something, you're going to know about it. Don't just go on Twitter and, fuck around and read what people have to say, because most people don't know what they're talking about. Most people don't read. They just go on there to shoot the shit. It's like a glorified Tumblr. It's so stupid. Like, literally just get off the fucking internet, you weirdo. Like, it's so stupid. And then there's other stuff where it's like, about health and wellness, and it's like, they'll say like, oh, like, it's not right when people say it's unhealthy to be fat. And I'm like, if you're obese, that's not healthy. You're at a higher risk of getting cholesterol, heart disease, cancers, organ failures. It's not healthy. That doesn't mean you should hate yourself for being overweight. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And there is medical bias. There are doctors that do, in fact, diminish what you have to say because you're overweight. That is true, and that needs to change. But at the same time, if you're overweight and you have the ability to lose it in any way you so choose, you should try to do that, because long term, that's not good. It puts a lot of stress on the internal organs and functioning. It's not good. And then there's some people that say, oh, BMI is like a colonialist structure or a measurement. And it's like, dude, okay, yeah, I get that it doesn't make sense in certain ways. Like it really doesn't. But, like, you got to do what's best for your body. And, like, you shouldn't, like obviously, like, if the BMI says you're overweight, but, like, you're at a healthy weight and, like, you're a healthy individual and, like, you're not, eating bad, you're just, like, a little heavier according to the index, like, okay, that's fine. But, like, there's some people, they just use that as an excuse to, like, not, better themselves. Now, if you're happy being overweight, that's fine. If you don't want to lose the weight, that's your choice. And you shouldn't be judged for that. But you shouldn't use that as an excuse either to just kind of like, not as an excuse. You shouldn't like say that the whole thing is like fat phobic because I don't know. I think that's just stupid. Like, if you want to be a certain way, but just don't like blame the whole system because you just don't want to lose weight. Like, if you don't want to lose weight and you're happy with the way you are, then that's fine. I mean, just it makes no sense to me why people get that mad over it. There's just a lot of stupid shit I've seen people get mad over on the internet, and I think the internet is really divisive and not really what's the word? I don't think it's helping our cause as a country at all. Like, really at all. I think it's honestly creating more arguments and division than we've ever seen in our history. And it's mostly because of, things like Twitter. I think it's honestly because of Twitter. Because the culture of the website is so narcissistic and rude to the point where it's like if you deviate from I'm going to end it with this. If you deviate from the opinion stated and you don't have the correct opinion, even if like you're very left and you're not agreeing with the original poster, you're going to get shit on. And God forbid, the two echo chambers. God forbid the right-wing echo chamber and the left-wing echo chamber somehow cross paths. There's an internet war of a scale unimaginable. There will be cancellations. There will be raids on accounts to ban them. There will be doxing, and no one's ever right. And it's literally carrying over into real life where people will shame other people for not wearing the mask, even though 90% of the country has some form of vaccine. It's now a political thing. It's become a political thing when literally it was just a public health thing, and it just had to get politicized by the right wing. Oh no, it's fake. And then the left wing had to react and say, oh, well, it's not fake. It's actually very real. And then it became a symbol of political identity and personal brand affiliation and marketing. And then boom, here we are. So just stop being fucking weird. Get off the internet and like just talk to your neighbor, I guess, is the point of all this. Just American socialists, comrades, please stop being so fucking weird. And I hope to be back soon. Also, before I leave, I am actually in the process of writing a book of political theory. I just wrote one chapter of it, and it's talking about how the U.S. military can be restructured to rebuild infrastructure and the domestic home life of our country. So I don't know how I'm going to distribute that. I might post part of it because I am very eager to show people, but I might wait for the whole book to be published. I'm not sure yet. There's going to be maybe schedule changes depending on my work schedule, so of course I'll update you guys on that. And there is... Wait, let me get up my Google Voice real quick because I need to plug that. I'm also going to be publishing an episode again on Monday. So we'll be back to our Friday-Monday schedule until I am forced to change that. If I have to change that. Also, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, want to call in, have an idea, call this phone number. It's 669-271-1719. That is my Google Voice number. And there is an email that you can check out. It's backpackingamericapodcasting@gmail.com. Also, I'm going to be doing man in the street interviews. Since COVID is basically over in America, I am going to go face-to-face with real people again out in public, talking to them about what's on their mind, about the political situation, and about, their favorite things to do and what's up. So it's going to be a lot more like OG Backpacking America, where I would just kind of walk into places or up to people and just be like, hey, what's up? And yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited to do it again. It's going to be a little more structured this time, though, and a lot more badass. So until next time, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you Monday. If you want more Backpacking America content, make sure to follow the social links in the podcast description. New episodes starting and ending your work week come out every Friday and Monday. Thank you again for listening, and stay breezy.